Hi, Dr. Joey Hindman here, and I want to present to you a set of daily movements you can do for body maintenance. Think of these as like a daily vitamin that you can take just to help keep you on the right track and stay healthy. There's nothing special about these movements other than they follow a few key principles. So you can certainly come up with your own and just use this as a template for building your own regimen. So the principles that we're going to be following are: 1, these exercises are easy to perform as well as progress and regress depending on your ability. Number 2, we're going to focus on moving the major muscle groups and large joint regions, specifically the upper quarter at your shoulder and chest, your trunk and spine, and then the hips, pelvis, and thighs. And then number 3, we want to make sure we're doing big movements through a large range of motion. So focusing on those principles are going to let us maximize muscle contraction and joint health, as well as maximize our time. You get the added benefit of supporting your immune health as well by contracting through a large range of motion, because we have lymph nodes pocketed in each of those regions, and when we move through a large range of motion, it actually helps pump the lymph a little bit better. So I'm going to get started by showing you some of the exercises, and I'll show you a couple variations of them as well. The first one is just a large general trunk flexion and extension. So we're flexing and we're extending our trunk, hitting the back and spine as well as the hips, getting a stretch along the hamstrings, and then extending our back. Now we want to engage the shoulders as well and take them through a large range of motion. When we do that, we can expand our lungs and diaphragm, and of course we get that stretch on the anterior chain here. And I can go small, and I can increase the amplitude as I get more comfortable with the motion. Now this can be done in standing, which I like best, but if you have to sit, you can. You lose the hip extension, but we still get all of that upper trunk and upper body extension here. So just flexing down, rising up. And I'm trying to look down and then extend the head as well. Next we're going to do a squat, which most people know, but we want to keep our heels grounded for this one, but there are a lot of different variations. We're just going to do our basic squat, bending down like you're sitting into a chair, and I like to say the deeper the better. And again, we can involve some arm motion to get the most out of it, and more of that trunk extension. So if you need a little help with your squat, you can always hold on to something. I've got the chair here, it can be the counter, a table, and we're just going to give ourselves a hand and sit into it. At the top, again, you can add some extension and some shoulder flexion. If that's still a little bit too much, we can always do a sit to stand from the chair. So starting in the chair, if you need a little momentum to get started, you can. And you stand. And then we're sitting back down. Now when we're sitting, we always want to try not to plop, but it might happen, and that's okay. The important thing is you're engaging those muscles through the range. The next one we're going to take you through are some trunk rotations. All right. Rotating through the spine is really important for maintaining its health. So it's really simple. We're just going to do some twisting. Now you can do a large twist where the hips move too, or we can keep the hips fixed and just kind of focus on that spinal rotation. So that's simple enough. We can fix the hips a little bit more, again by sitting. So I'm keeping my hips here, and I'm just going to rotate through there. If I want to focus a little bit more on the lower back, we can actually lay down, and we're going to do some lower trunk rotations here, just letting the knees fall to the side and your pelvis turn back and forth, giving some nice lubrication to each segment in the vertebrae. So next we're going to go through some ankle taps. This one again will be good for those tight hamstrings. We're going to get some trunk rotation. So I start with my feet apart really wide. We can engage the arms and shoulders a little bit by raising up, and then we come down and we're just going to go back and forth and tap. And I can get more of a stretch by coming a little bit wider. Okay. And I can get more muscle recruitment in the legs by transitioning into a side lunge. And just coming here. So more in the glute, more in the hips. A nice stretch along that leg. And some rotation through the trunk. If we're sitting, I'll place my feet apart nice and wide. We'll come open. And again, I'm just going to rotate through and tap. And I can kick a leg out to get some more stretch. Bring it in, kick the other out. And back and forth. So the last one is simple to do sitting or standing. And it's just going to be your classic shoulder rolls. We're coming up all the way to your ears, pinching back, and while maintaining that pinch, we're going to push down. So we're going to come up, shrug, pinch back, roll it down. Now we're always sitting here, especially when we're stressed, so those upper fibers and anterior fibers of your trap are always a little tight. We want to move that tension off of that and redistribute it by contracting the whole muscle belly. So we're going up, we're pinching back, we're coming down while still squeezing. So I like to tell people, imagine you have a pencil between your shoulder blades and give it a nice squeeze the whole time you're pushing down. As an added bonus, something that goes hand in hand with shoulder rolls is always neck rolls, and that we can do right here just by rolling out. It's simple enough, but we never take the time to do it. And again, you want to make sure you're not shrugging through this, but letting the shoulders drop down. Stretching out those fibers in the neck, as well as opening up some of those lymph nodes. So those are our basic movements. I'd love to see your versions of them, and let me know what you think.